What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel, Pew Pew Dudes. We went deer hunting with a 357, and I went with a 30 carbine out of a Ruger Blackhawk. What pistol did you bring?
So I brought the Smith & Wesson 686 Plus, 7 rounds of 357.
Unloaded.
Unloaded, just showing you.
Don't be alarmed at home, folks.
Yeah, and I had the red dot with a rail, and it was really nice. 357 Hornady Critical Duty, and 135 grains. Show you the projectile real quick. Cool silver case, red ballistic tip, expanding projectile. What do you got?
Ruger Blackhawk. As you can see, the trigger's exposed. This is meant for a single action army. Unless I'm like horseback riding, this will stay in place just on my hip walking around.
This is also single action, so
yes,
that doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's why that's why I want single. Whatever. Point is, for 30 carbine, there are other options as far as like revolvers, but for the most part, this is the most popular one. The 30 carbine, meant for the M1 carbine from World War II. Very little loading options as far as off the shelf. If you're getting into reloading, that's a different topic, but just buying ammo off the shelf, we're talking about 110 grain for defensive ammo. We're talking about soft points. I can go with Federal or Winchester for this hunt. I went with Federal. Just zip right through. I landed a nice shot, just tucked right behind the shoulder. The deer was broadside. Just zip right through.
What are you gonna do with it?
What?
What are you gonna clean that out there on the beam?
Long hearts, great shot. Zero blood trail. I hit the deer. Deer leaped in the air, took off running up the hill. Followed it after the fact, and it was, dead there. I have a separate video when we walk around looking for it. And yeah, like performance-wise, it was as perfect as a shot as I can make through a handgun. And I felt as though I could, like with a different caliber, it could have performed better. Then the next day, Ray was hunting with 357.
And very similar story. He got the lungs and the heart. I only got the lungs, but ran about the exact same amount of distance, same deal, shot it while it was at the bottom of the ridge, it ran up the hill, and
that made me feel better. I'm like, okay, then it wasn't the caliber. We're just talking about handguns, because typically I shoot with a shotgun, and if you get like a good lung and heart shot with a shotgun, with a whitetail, if you're stepping into a larger game, it's different, but whitetail just drops dead right there. No leap, no, that just doesn't even know you're there, just dead. And like, perfect. All right.
1 ounce slug really gets it done.
Yep.
With the Sabo slugs, I've had them run a couple of feet and then just drop.
If we're talking about 357, there's a lot more loading options, so we can redo this like next year with different ammo and get completely different results with different bullets. For 30 carbine, I'm gonna say like that's as good as it's gonna get, and I feel as though if I do different caliber, I can get just closer to a kill shot is what I'm getting at. And if I'm trying to tuck that shot just behind the shoulder, broadside on a deer. If I'm hitting closer to the shoulder, hit the shoulder, I have less confidence in that 110 grain bullet than I would in a 357.
Which I think that...
Which 357, just, sorry to cut you off, just a heavier, slower bullet, but you're getting more energy out of it.
Yes, which we were about like after all the math is said and done, yours is at somewhere around like 1,400 feet per second, but it's 110 grain.
Yep.
Mine's 135, but it's at about 1275 at the muzzle.
And that is
not huge difference.
Non plus P 357. That is another thing. You can step it up, and then you get 1,500. Then we don't know what that's rated for, because this is like, well, your revolver is a 6-inch. I don't know what the box is rating you at as far as what barrel.
Yeah, it could be a 4, could be a 6.
It doesn't say.
And it could also be like a defensive, like 3-inch, in which case getting way more energy.
Yeah.
But what I got is the reason that I got what I got was because it's what my local gun shop had, and we kind of decided a little bit late that what we were doing and what we were taking. First, we were going to use shotguns, and then we're like, let's use revolvers, and that sounded like a good idea, and that's kind of what we went with. And I'm not disappointed at all with how I did, but I think that I could push the like, how do I put this? We were very similar, and I think I could really stack up my edge with what I have and the plethora of ammo, and I could get similar to you, a soft point with a heavier grainage, and I could do a lot more damage. And then if I hit bone, I think that I could definitely have a lot more effect on target than you would have if you hit bone.
Yeah. So so in summary, the performance was virtually the same this time around. if you use a different bullet, because next year I'll be bringing out a different caliber. I kind of do want to stick around with the handgun, so I can start with 357. I can do 45 Colt. I can do 44 Magnum, and there's endless other revolver calibers I can do and try. But for me, most likely it will be 357 or 45 Colt, and then even within those two calibers, there's endless different loading and bullet options. So sky's the limit. But as far as 30 carbine, unless I get into reloading, that's kind of it.
And that's going to be maybe a later in life sort of experience.
Yeah, because at the moment, like the past couple years, the components haven't been plentiful and cheap. It just hasn't made that much sense.
Worth the squeeze.
Yeah, juice ain't worth the squeeze. In summary, similar performance. Trying out different stuff next year.
Oh.
Any other closing thoughts?
So I've already done 357 and 44. Maybe I'll try a different revolver, but I really like the red dot on the revolver, so I gotta think. I gotta come up with what I want to do. Am I willing to sacrifice that red dot for something that has, you know, maybe more holster options or something? But
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to think about that. If you step it up to 45 Colt, maybe I'll do that as well.
Okay.
And then we could just take the same ammo, or maybe I'll do something completely different.
Okay. Sounds good to me.
We'll see.
All right. Well, that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. Just us talking about different calibers. We'll play on more videos shortly.
All right. You guys have a good one.